This is Real Talk with Matt, where no fluff, no filters, just real advice meets real stories. Get ready to level up as we dive into raw, honest conversations about success, setbacks, and everything in between. Whether you're here to find inspiration, grab some practical tips, or just hear what it takes to thrive, you're in the right place. So buckle up, because it's time for some real talk.
Hey everybody, welcome to Real Talk with Matt. What an exciting time to be alive. Today is April 4th, 2025, and I had to jump on here and do a quick message to everyone out there on the mortgage rates, because this seems to be the hot topic right now in this market and in our industry. Really exciting times, and I know that there's a lot of people that have been on the sidelines waiting for this opportunity as a buyer, or potentially as somebody who already purchased a home and may be refinancing. So if we look back at today versus over the last 4 years, we are at the lowest point on the 10-year treasuries, which are the bond markets, which in turn, we should be at the lowest rate since October, when we had that nice little slope, September and October of 2024. So we are beyond that now. And I think that with the trajectory that we're going, with the tariff news and everything else, which is a hurdle. I mean, honestly, it really is. And there's going to be some impacts, and it's going to be probably, I would say short-term impacts on the stock market and everything else until it all settles out. And then it's going to play a really big role in the future when it comes to home buyers, sellers, and people that need to refinance. So let's kick it off, and we're going to be talking about mortgages and what it really means for you.
Real Talk with Matt is proudly sponsored by Premier Mortgage Consultants, where we make lending easy with access to over 60 lenders and the lowest rates available. We're here to help you buy your dream home, refinance your current home, or explore options tailored just for you. At Premier Mortgage Consultants, your journey to home ownership starts here. Visit us today to learn more. www.pmcnow.com or 239-666-5005. Now, back to the show.
So let's talk about the big drop and what happened. So over the past couple of weeks, we've seen mortgage rates dip by over 0.5% in most cases. We're still waiting for the rates to come out today. And that's a huge deal in the mortgage market world. So let's talk about why the drop. Well, inflation has been cooling. Everyone's been talking about gas, eggs, groceries. So eggs are down, I think, something like 40%. Gas is in the $2 range for a lot of states. So a lot of good things are going there. And the Fed's tone on future rate hikes has kind of softened, which is good. So that shows some positivity there. And economic indicators are pointing to a slower growth environment, which mortgage lenders love. Okay. Even last week, I had a client who locked in at 7.125, and then 5 days later, we could have locked in at 6.5. That's how fast the mortgage market is moving. But nobody has a crystal ball. We wake up in the morning, we're like, whoa, what happened? What's the difference? And, when you start looking at that, a lot of people right now, investors, are pulling out of the stock market and going into the treasuries and bonds because they're more, they don't have as much of a drastic change as the stock market does. Obviously, the Dow Jones is under 40,000, which hasn't been in over 52 weeks. I think that's a buying opportunity. Everyone's freaking out. And if you're in the game of the stock market, it is a long-term play unless you're a day trader. So those things will rebound. But really, the mortgage market has been really tough lately because people can't qualify for a home with the higher interest rates. And therefore, in certain markets such as Southwest Florida, actually Florida in the general population, it gets very difficult to buy a house. Where we're at today, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, is that everybody just got pre-approved for $30,000 to $40,000 more dollars, just because of the difference in the last 2 days in the rates. Think about that. That's a big difference. If you're stuck at 225, now you might qualify for 275. If you're stuck at 400, now you might be 450. Those put you in different price points, and for the same payment, you get more house. So those are things to keep in mind. What does it mean for buyers? So we just talked about this, but buying power, that's such a huge thing. A half-point drop in a rate could mean an extra $30,000 to $50,000 in purchasing power without increasing your payment. Think about that. So when we were during COVID times, when rates were 2 to 3%, you could buy a $500,000 house at a certain payment, where today a $250,000 house is that same payment. So think about that from a different perspective. This is huge. Inventory still matters. Rates dropping doesn't change the fact that good homes go fast, but now more buyers can stretch further without feeling like stretched thin. And that's a big thing. When I always talk to people, I always ask them like, hey, listen, we don't put all your marbles in one basket. We've got to have a little extra rainy day money because shit hits the fan. ACs break. That's not a $200 fix. That's a $5,000 to $10,000 fix. So there's different things like that. I worked with a young couple in Cape Coral. They were originally approved for up to $350. Now they're comfortably looking at $385 with the same monthly payment, and open up 20 plus more listings that they can now consider. So that's a big thing. And I know realtors out there, you guys have a lot of listings, and there's a good opportunity that they might start moving really quick if things kind of hold still for a little bit. And a little sign of encouragement here: if you were priced out before, it's time to revisit your pre-approval. And I am slowly going through my pipeline of hundreds of pre-approvals and revisiting them, because there's a lot of people out there that were priced out and now they might be priced back in. So that's a big opportunity there. So refi time. Is it time? That's a big question. I got about 15 text messages this morning who saw my post, and it could be. It definitely could be. So if you're in the high sixes or sevens, maybe even 8, I remember doing conventional loans. Some of them were like low 8, high 7s. Now is the time to run numbers, okay? And I always say this: reach out to me anytime so we could do a mortgage consultation and we could talk about it. If it makes sense, let's pull the trigger. This might not be the first time. This might be 1 of 3 more times. So even a 0.5% drop can save you thousands over the life of the loan. I'm not a big fan of that. I think that the monthly savings need to outperform the closing costs, which are rolled into the loan. So I think that there's something that we have to look at. So just be careful out there if you're hearing a lot of things about refi, or, now, and we'll talk about this other segment about that, but that's our job, is to make sure it's worthwhile. We're not in the business to collect checks. We're in the business to help homeowners, buyers, and potentially sellers get the best deals. So just to give you an example, this is a real example. I just had to take notes. So I had a client in Naples sitting at a 7.25% interest rate on a $400,000 mortgage. And now with her, we're refinancing at 6.25. So nearly $250 a month in savings, which is like, I wouldn't say car payment anymore, but half a car payment. But that's back in their pocket, okay? So if you're at 2.75 or 3% from back in the COVID days, sit tight. That's never going to change. But anything past 2022, really, you probably are in the market where that's an opportunity. So let's talk about a little bit about refinances. I'm going to talk a little bit about, some things in the market I think that are important. So you may have heard, you may have not heard, Mr. Cooper is a huge servicer, very big servicer. Well, Rocket Mortgage just purchased them. The good thing about that is, and I will tell you, I use Rocket Mortgage for underwriting. I think they're a great company. Their technology is fantastic. They do free credit repair. They have a lot of incentives right now for home buyers with the rates, and they're pretty much dominating everybody across the board. I use them for underwriting, and we get clear to closes typically 1 to 2 weeks, okay? They bought Mr. Cooper for the servicing because Rocket does a really good job with their servicing, which is where you make your mortgage payment too. It's very easy. It's simple. They allow for things like recasting loans, where if you have a big down payment after you close, they'll redo the mortgage for the term left of it. Anyways, they do a bunch of different things. The fact that they acquired Mr. Cooper gives us an opportunity to be able to reach more people for times like this, refinances. Maybe they're looking to sell their house and then they want to buy a new house. Well, guess what? They're going to probably come to us because we do such a good job after the closing process with the servicing. And servicing is very important because I've seen a lot of stories with servicing companies where next thing you know, they're not collecting the taxes at the right time, or et cetera, and the mortgage payments go up. So it's a very, very important part post-closing. But I'm excited about this because I love technology. I think technology makes our life easier, especially in my world when it comes to AI and comes to making a payment. Everything needs to be simple. When it's simple, nobody misses payments, everything gets done on time, and everything turns out to be a good story. So if you were with Mr. Cooper now and that's where you're making your mortgage payment to every single month, reach out to me. We do have some incentives. Maybe you're at a higher rate that we could look into refinancing that as well. So smart buyer tips in a falling rate market. Let's talk about this. So there's a lot of people that have been waiting. What are you waiting for? I'm not sure. Is there a magic number? I thought fives, which were pretty much there. I will tell you this, most deals do have closing cost credits, and a lot of the loans I've been doing are in the low fives, high fours, because we're using that money to buy down the rate. But rates are very volatile. You could wake up today and it's one thing. You could wake up tomorrow, it's another thing, and you could take a nap during the day and get up from your nap and it's a different thing. So just be ready. You got to be proactive and not reactive. I think a lot of people right now are going to be reactive, which is fine. And then as the dust settles, things will turn how they turn. But the proactive ones are already ready. They're already ready. We've been planning this for a long time. I even activated my CRM today for my refi campaign that's been sitting dormant for 4 years. So I'm pretty excited to hit that up. But we need to get you either pre-approved or pre-approved. So even if you're already pre-approved out there and you want a second opinion, or if we did it and you want to revisit it, reach out to us, please, me or Tiffany, and we will take care of that for you. And I think right now with the better rates, our negotiation powers are going to be better, and we may be able to cover more of the closing costs and take that to the next level. So another thing too is I heard that Florida Hometown Heroes may be coming back, so stay tuned. There's no official information on that, but we do have a lot of different programs with down payment assistance. We have, buy before you sell programs. So if you're trying to sell your house, but the market just hasn't been really performing in your direction that you need to, but you don't want to miss an opportunity, just reach out. We have lots of different things to help you there. So what this signals for the market? So I think a couple bullet points here, and we'll go through them. So if we have to look for them, buyers' confidence will rise. Sellers may get bolder. Real estate agents, and big takeaways that we're not in a boom, but we're going to talk about each one. So buyer confidence will rise. I think we're going to see more offers on houses and more competition. This news is going to stir it up. And I think if you're a real estate agent out there, you should definitely revisit all your buyers ASAP and get them on board, get them to me. We'll get them pre-approved. We'll get them into a home. Sellers may get bolder. We might see fewer price drops. This is the inevitable, especially on well-priced listings. So you may not be able to get all the buyer credits and everything else that we've talked about for the last 4 years to help, but we've got to act now and smart before inventory starts dwindling. When it starts dwindling, then the sellers don't have to give up as much, okay? Real estate agents, as we talked about, it's time to re-engage. Re-engage every single buyer, either that's email, text, phone call, campaign, CRM, whatever it is. Reach out to them. And the big takeaways, we're in a recovery. I don't think we're in any kind of boom, but the feds are not slamming the brakes anymore, and that changes everything. That changes everything. So here's the real talk. If you're on the fence, whether you're buying, refinancing, or just trying to figure out your next move, pick up the phone and give me a call. I'll run the numbers, walk you through the options, and help you make a move that makes sense. You don't need to be an expert. That's my job, but you do need to take the first steps. So let's make it happen. So a lot of great things here. I'm really excited about all of this. I've been waiting for so long, and knock on wood, for the last 4 years, been a top 1% loan officer in the United States. Mostly just do my loans in Florida. There's a lot of these other people that do 50 states. So, I just kind of focus on Florida and Georgia. I could do Texas as well. But the message out here is that if you've been waiting, I think now is the time to really start thinking about the opportunity ahead. So thanks for tuning in to Real Talk with Matt. We like to dial it in. If you get value from this episode, share it with a friend, colleague, somebody out there. And if you're looking to make a move, I'd love to help you. But make sure you subscribe so you never miss what's really going on in the mortgage and real estate world. And thank you so much for tuning in as always. And I'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to Real Talk with Matt. We appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. Seriously, it means the world. If you've got questions, need advice, or just want to hear our take on a topic, don't be shy. Reach out anytime. This podcast is all about you, and we'd love to cover what's on your mind in a future episode. And hey, if you found value in today's episode, do us a favor, subscribe, share this with a friend, and drop a review. Let's keep the conversation going and help more people stay inspired in the know. Until next time, stay bold, stay driven, and keep chasing what's next. This has been Real Talk with Matt. Catch you soon.